there could come a day where I'm not as fortunate and may need, you know, some help. So I don't see the problem, what the problem is with helping others that are less fortunate. I really don't. This is what this is all about, you guys. It's not just me up here talking at you, it's us getting together and coming together with our ideas and how we can move forward to get some results.
Postcard says, just remember we're always watching you. And it's got a big eye in the middle of it. They are skipping out, like Paul Ryan, good luck getting a hold of him. He's not answering his phone, there's no, we've got his home address. So he will be getting 1,000 postcards a day. And we will challenge them. Yeah.
How many of you have heard of the Department of Defense? How many of you have heard of the Coast Guard? I worked for them. I used to write, are you ready? I used to write the training for people who were blind to make it accessible for all. And then I went blind. So, my bugaboo is this. Some of us can't see. This is my new normal. I have a very difficult time driving because I have a traumatic brain injury. And so there's a whole nother 52 million people out there who would love to be attending these meetings, but can't. I am advocating for inclusion. Inclusion meaning the mom, the dad who has a sick kid and can't make it, or the caregiver who has an elder one they can't leave. How many of you are for ACA? ACA, ACA. Okay, I want to stop you right there. They want to defund all these agencies. This is very important. I want you to listen carefully to what I'm going to tell you. One of the agencies that this administration wants to take the money away from are the civil rights agencies in the state. We have all these things that are cropping up due to the current political climate. They can't keep, they are going as fast as they can. And if the monies dry up in each of these offices, they have to lay people off. So by doing so, you can have all the ACA you want, but if you don't have anybody to enforce the laws, and you have the agencies that enforce the laws to be defunded, all I can say is good luck. Now, how many of you have ever used a handicap sticker? How many of you know of somebody who has or has used a handicap sticker? Okay, how many of you have ever been to the doctor's office? Okay, how many of you have ever been to a hospital or a nursing home or come to a church? I'm bringing this up for a reason. The laws that were, those handicap parking didn't just happen. The people who lobbied in this in the 80s were people in wheelchairs who actually flooded the entire halls of Congress to get those for us. Let me tell you what's at stake. Again, it comes down to political will. You can have ACA, you can have Medicare, but right now, through procedure in the Supreme Court, and not Supreme Court, in the federal court, there's laws that they're trying to enact to weaken those laws that support us. And why did I mention the hospital? Because when you go to the hospital, by law, they have to treat you, correct? That is a civil right. That is your civil right. Our civil rights go way beyond and support ACA. They support Medicare. They support Medicaid. And if those laws that are put in place are weakened, then we lose. Now, why in the world would I be interested in that? Well, you see, I was a seeing person at one time. And 2 years ago, I went blind, I had to get a service animal, and I was in a condominium. Now, they said, sure, you can have a dog, but number one, they refused to acknowledge the fact that he was a service animal. And a lady 2 doors down did not like dogs. And so she continued to call the office. They made it extremely difficult for me. They tried to sue me to leave. They wanted to keep my condominium, which was paid for. And I had to go to court. I had to use those federal laws. I had to use the Department of Civil Rights in the state of Michigan. A young lady who had severe cerebral palsy, she was told she could not bring her service dog to school. It took them 4 or 5 years. They finally won, and she can use a service animal in school. I, as a graduate student, was denied that opportunity. But because we have the Department of Education, they do investigate those things. So going back to our rights, civil rights are everyone's rights. Would you say so?
Yes.
Okay, and so I'm going to ask you to please contact your senator and write. The other thing that I would like to encourage, we can write to our senators, that's great, but there's a whole committee. They're committee members. Send them postcards. Tell them your displeasure. Tell them that you demand that we can retain our level of staffing for our civil rights offices. Thank you.
I am associated with an organization called Count My Vote. And just yesterday, the activism arm of Count My Vote, which is called Voters Not Politicians, announced that it is working to put a ballot petition for a citizen redistricting committee on the 2018 ballot. This is really exciting because, as so many of you have mentioned, and this lady in particular over here and some of the others, we wonder how it is that we got here. How are our values, which I'm sure we disagree to some extent, but we do agree on decency, taking care of our fellow citizens, treating immigrants with respect. We are all immigrants. How did we get so far off that path? And if you do a little research, you will discover that it is because we have been gerrymandered to death in this state. You all know that every 10 years, the United States takes a census. They count people, they ask you information, and based on that count and the information that is gathered, the state party in power gets to draw the district lines for our congressional and state representatives. It sounds fairly straightforward. Why should that cause a dilution in one party's vote? And the answer is because we're all very smart people. We know how to use computers. We are now able to go street by street, look at voting records, and decide how to draw our congressional voting districts so that the party in power stays in power. It doesn't matter if it's the same representative, because we have term limits in some cases. It's that the party in power gets to keep the seats no matter who's running. And what happens is, for example, in Michigan, we might have a vote of 48% for Democrats. Democrats don't get the commensurate amount of seats. The Republicans get more votes because of the way the districts are drawn. And I'm not a mathematician, I'm not a political science, I'm new to this process just like you are. Count My Vote and Politicians Not Voters is trying to do is take that power away from the politicians to choose their voters and give it back to the voters to choose their politicians. So I think we understand that the way the districts are drawn by the party in power is diluting the vote of the party not in power. And it works both ways. These organizations are nonpartisan. There will be a ballot petition drive. And what that means is that we have to collect over 300,000 signatures, I think from May to October, although I don't have the exact dates. We do need volunteers to make it happen. It will be going to your churches, going to Arts, Beats, and Eats, going to all those things that we do here in Michigan and getting people to sign. There will be very concrete training provided. There will be a captain that you can ask questions to. You can be a captain if you are so inclined, but we do need people to make this happen.
The ACLU has started a mobilization grassroots organization called peoplepower.org to try to organize all this resistance, small groups that are popping up here and there. They're going to try to organize everything so that our energy is used to the best, most efficiently that it can be used.
Okay, that's peoplepower.org.
Capital P,
People.
and capital P for power,
Capital P for power.
no spaces, .org.
.org. Okay. Thank you so much. So as I said, my name's Courtney. Not only am I here for the Women's March, but I'm here for myself and the 30 million people that could be affected by repealing the ACA. I myself am a recipient of the ACA when I turned 26 and could no longer be on my parents' plan. And what a blessing that was. I'm someone who battles reproductive issues and mental health issues. And I have huge stacks of medical bills, and I make barely over minimum wage and can barely afford medical care until now. And so I'm here today to share with everyone and to anyone that's listening abroad that the ACA is saving my life. I've dealt with severe mental health issues that have led me to rock bottom, and thanks to the ACA, I'm able to receive affordable counseling, affordable medication, affordable doctor's appointments, and get the help that I really need. And I have, there's 18% of the country faces mental health issues. That's about 42 million people, if I'm not mistaken, 42.5 million. And I read a little bit about this new replacement plan, which there's not many details about, but I saw nothing about mental health in there. And ACA was finally able to make a broad spectrum of mental health care available and affordable to people. So when you're calling your congressmen, your senators, whoever, I'd really like everyone to consider whatever illness might affect you or loved ones, mental illness as well. There's so many of us that suffer, and I just want everyone to know that I'm here marching for you, I'm here marching for myself, and if you're affected by the ACA, or if your loved ones are affected by the ACA, I march for you. So please, don't let this be a dying issue. A replacement plan is being drafted as we speak. They're cutting Medicare, they plan to cut Medicaid, they're gonna make so many dangerous cuts. People could die from this. As Bernie Sanders says, if you get rid of healthcare, people get sick and they die. That's why he called for a rally today. He wanted across the nation healthcare rallies on this day because he knew this plan was going to be happening. We have to resist this. We cannot allow them to repeal, and whatever awful replacement plan they're coming up with, this is not acceptable. So please call your senators, write to them. The ACA is so important.
The replacement plan, as far as I'm aware, that they are gonna make healthcare benefits taxable, so you will be taxed on them. And the ratio now, as far as charging the elderly compared to what the young get charged, is 3 to 1.
Wow.
They are going to increase it to 5 to 1. Yeah. It will be considered that the premiums that you're getting will be income, and you will be taxed on it on your income.
Private school students, charter school students for that matter, who have benefited from that, and students by extension who benefited from it. So as you're thinking about what,
Call your congressperson. You don't need to call Washington, D.C. It's actually better if you call their local office. Everybody has a local office here in Michigan, and you can go online and find out what that phone number is, and someone will answer the phone, and it'll be, somebody that works in his office, a list of, why people are calling, how many people have called on that specific issue, and that goes right to your congressperson.